The producers of Tech AV Learning Aids welcome you to this series on Essential Knowledge for Welders. In this program, you will learn the basic terminology associated with manual metal arc welding processes, the 5 common joint configurations used in steel manufacture, as well as basic joint geometry. Let us start by explaining some important weld terminologies and the 2 basic weld types. The metal components or members to be joined using a welding process are referred to as base or parent metal. Metal that will be added to the joint during welding, such as that from an electrode, is known as filler metal. Once filler metal has been added to the joint, it is called deposited metal. During an arc welding process, the adjoining edges of base metals are brought to melting temperature through the application of intense local heat created by the electric arc. The mixing of these molten metals during the process is known as fusion. The mixing or fusion of the molten metals results in the actual joining of the metal components, or, more correctly speaking, the coalescence of the metals. There are essentially 2 types of weld. The first that we will describe is the groove weld, sometimes referred to as a butt weld. This weld is the result of a joint between metal members lying on the same plane. The characteristics and terminology associated with a weld are best explained when we view them in cross-section. A groove or butt weld has the following characteristics. Root. The root generally refers to the point at the bottom of the weld where the base metals are closest to each other, but also has more specific references which we will explain later. Root reinforcement. This is the portion of the weld that has penetrated right through the weld and extends past the bottom of the base metals. Fusion zone, sometimes referred to as filler penetration. This is the area where the base metal and filler metal have melted and mixed together, resulting in the actual joining or coalescence of the metals. Reinforcement. This is the top portion of the weld that extends above the surface of the base metals. Face. The face of the weld is the exposed surface of a weld on the side from which welding was made. Toe. This is where the weld face meets the base metal. It is the junction between the base metal and the weld face. Heat-affected zone. That portion of the base metal that has not been melted but whose mechanical properties or metallic structure have been altered by welding. Weld zone. This term is used to describe the whole area affected by a weld, including the heat-affected zone. The next weld type we will describe is called a fillet weld. A fillet weld is the result of a weld between components or members that are joined in opposing planes. When viewed in cross-section, a fillet weld has similar characteristics and terminology to a groove weld. However, the following variances should be noted. Leg. There are 2 legs in a fillet weld which may or may not be of equal length. The depth of a fillet weld is termed the throat. There are 2 throat dimensions, namely, the theoretical throat, indicated by these dimension lines, and the actual throat, which is the distance from the root to the face of the weld. Most welds, whether groove or fillet, are usually made as a continuous weld along the entire length of the members being joined. However, a weld specification may call for an intermittent weld to be deposited in segments, and Depending on the joint configuration, these segmented welds could be staggered on either side of the joint. Terminology associated with intermittent welds include segment length and pitch. Segment length, which, as the term suggests, is the actual length of weld segment to be made. Pitch indicates the spacing required between segments. Pitch is measured from center to center of weld segments.